Okay, so I've got a lot of the wires just laid where it needs to go. I'm still trying to figure out a few of them. I should have labeled them, so I suggest you labeling them, but I'll figure it out. No big deal. Just got to make sure that I don't take a coolant line and put it where a vacuum is supposed to go and vice versa. That ends up being really bad. Ask me how I know. So anyway, this is the intake. Now I thought originally it was going to come over this way. I was wrong. So it's going to go right here, and it's kind of a tight squeeze with the transmission dipstick and the oil dipstick. But once you get it near about there, it's going to drop in place, I hope. Let's see. This is really difficult to do. Maybe it just comes on this side. Maybe. Nope. Dipstick's in the way again. Get it past the dipstick. Get all the hoses out of the way. Oh, see, there it goes, right there. And something's holding it back. So what is it now? It's not the dipstick. Is it one of these hoses? There it goes. And then you see, like I said, things will just lay where they're supposed to. And so this one is gonna fall down in one of these little spots down here. Like I said, I'll figure it out. All right, I think I got everything hooked up that I need to get hooked up in order to test this out. Got all the coil packs. I think I got everything plugged in that needed to be plugged in except the alternator. I'm still working on that bolt. But I got the transmission lines in the radiator, so it goes to the radiator cooler so I don't make a big bloody mess here. And then the rest of this is just kind of just sitting here. All I want to do is hear this thing spark off. So we're going to do a fire test. And that is, I'm going to put the ground to the battery. Positive is already in. And look to see if anything starts smoking. Everything looks good. So, how about we see if this thing cranks? Here's my key. So, I had a drill out. If you remember in port 1, I had to drill the ignition out because I didn't have the key. Well, I got the new key lock cylinder in, but I don't have it all hooked up. But that's all I really need right here. So screwdriver, and we should be able to turn it. Ooh, everything's on. Here we go. Well, it cranks. Obviously, the throttle is not hooked up just right, so I got to go over there and get that right. So I figured out why it just idled up so fast. Well, I went over here and disconnected the cruise control lever, but I don't think that was it at all. I did notice there is a lot of old fuel coming out of the tank, and this is my fault because here are the injectors. I don't know if you can see that. Do you see all that gasoline right there? You can kind of see it. It looks like water. Right there. It's leaking out of that one. It's leaking out of that one. It's leaking out of all of them. And what it is, I tried to skimp some money. I was trying to get this done, and I didn't buy any new O-rings for the fuel injectors. So guess what I get to do? Yeah, I get to pull this off and put new O-rings. And that gas is so old, it doesn't even smell like gas. It smells like varnish. But it ran. It cranked, it ran, it even idled up really fast. Hey, it sounds good. And so we're gonna have our Scion XB running on the road probably in a couple of days. I still got the radiator fan and I got the bumper. Can I reveal let's reveal the bumper, all right? All right, here's the bumper. Came in the mail, mailman. And so it wasn't that bad. It was only like $89. That included the shipping. So here's the bumper, and I'm gonna open it up. It looks a lot smaller than what it really should be, but they have it folded over. Oh, go. No, this isn't food. Don't be eating that. He's the inspector. All right. Now it's primed. It's not the same color, but that's fine with me because it's not going to stay the same color. Oh, okay. It is both pieces. All right. So here it is for $89. But once it's on the body, it'll bend out. I did notice there's a little crack right here and right here where it's bent a little too much. But once it's on there, it's not, I mean, you're not going to see it. So that's it right there. You know what? The original was badly mangled. So $89, I'll live with it. If I can't, I'll let you know. I finally got the bolt drilled out of the alternator, and it's close enough. I had to get a totally different bolt. I just had to line around. So if you see right here, it is right there. So I've mounted this alternator, and I have to tighten it now. So I'm gonna get this crowbar down here, pull forward about as tight as I can, and then take my 10mm and tighten down on it while I got some tension on it. All right, so that belt is nice and snug. So the other thing is this power steering belt, and it is really aggravating to get to. Can't really see it. It's the smallest belt I've ever seen on an engine. There is this bolt. Can you see my hand? No. Well, anyway, it's down there, trust me. And you got to loosen that, and it's real tight to get into. Then you got to come down here at the bottom, and you got to put some tension on this and tighten it. So I'm getting closer. I've got the radiator back in, but it's just kind of a mock-up. You see the strap? Well, what happened was this vehicle was in a slight fender bender, and it just tweaked all of this right here. Now, if I was a great mechanic, I would cut this out and tack weld it all back in, but I'm not going to do that. It's not that bad. So what I'm going to do, there's a little bit of a gap between where the radiator and the condenser sit in. So I'm going to take a jack and I'm going to jack it up and try to force it back up that way. Just right up underneath here. Try to get it in line and bend this thing back up without damaging stuff. Well, that's better. See if I can do it just a tad bit more. And get on this side where it's really sweet. I think that's about as good as I'm going to get it. But at least now it's kind of sitting in there. A little wiggle's not going to hurt it. Now all I got to do is put the radiator in, put the rest of the brackets in, slide the bumper on, put the wheels on, and we're going to take this thing for a test drive. We got the little cover on, radiator's full. I've ran it to make sure it's not going to overheat. So far it hasn't, but I haven't heard the fans come on yet. So we'll see, maybe it just hasn't got hot enough yet. Now I'm just gonna see if I can get this bumper on. And I think I may have jumped the gun on that. Yep, I sure did. It's tight. All right, I'm gonna drop it down remove the jack stand, crank it up, and see if it goes anywhere. I think the idle's a little too low. Here we go. It's running. See if it changes. Oh, it changed gears. That's running pretty good, and those tires are old. But I do have some maintenance I'm gonna have to do, and that's probably why a little bit of why it's running rough. But I'll figure it out. But the good thing is, this thing is back on the road after sitting dormant and forgotten for at least 3, maybe more years. And we're off. It's a little peppy thing. Oh yeah, she's a keeper. So, thank you all for following me on this. I got more to do, work out some bugs, give it a paint job it desperately needs. And so if you've enjoyed this and you want to see more of this, like and subscribe. Please subscribe. It really helps me out. Mailman Mechanic. See you at the mailbox.